Now, the box office, as you see it now, what's interesting is that it's not that every release is getting so much love, let's say it. The Aquaman release was pretty impressive in terms of how much it kind of missed expectations here. Is there an influx of too many genres, particularly when you think about the superheroes?
Yeah, a lot of people talk about superhero fatigue, and sometimes you do see that. I think each movie rises and falls on its own. And I don't think that people are necessarily against a particular genre, although if they get enough of them in that steady stream on the big screen that don't live up to expectations, then people look elsewhere for their entertainment. And right now we're sitting, according to our Comscore numbers, at about 8.8 billion year to date domestically. We're hoping to get to 9 billion. We may not quite be able to get there by the end of the 31st. But I will say, if you're a moviegoer right now, really over this weekend, you had the Aquaman movie, which we've talked about a little bit, Migration, Anyone But You, The Iron Claw, and then yesterday, The Color Purple did amazingly well on its first day. A really great gross, I think $18.5 million. The Boys in the Boat, the new George Clooney movie, opened yesterday. Of course, Ferrari as well. So there's so much out there for moviegoers. Films like The Holdovers, Priscilla. I mean, there's so many cool movies. Godzilla -1, The Boy and the Heron, Solar Part 1, Ceasefire, Dunki is another Indian cinema film. And it's just been an amazing time to be a moviegoer, but it's a little tougher at the box office for this Christmas holiday. For the 3 days, Friday through Sunday, earning about $96 million. In other years, we've seen for the Christmas weekend, 100 million, 150, 199 million, sometimes over 200 million. So it's a bit slower this year as we wind up the year at the box office.
Paul, percentage-wise, if we hadn't had the Taylor Swift and Beyonce movies, would we be talking about a big slice off the total?
Well, the Taylor Swift movie opened with $92.8 million. That's blockbuster numbers, $250 million worldwide. Barbenheimer domestically alone, those two movies, Barbie and Oppenheimer, grossed close to $1 billion. You had In Sound of Freedom with that for the summer. That was over $1 billion in box office from three movies that helped the box office, summer box office, I should say, eclipse the $4 billion mark, which is what we used to see in the pre-pandemic era. But that means the summer of 23 is a much higher percentage of the year if we wind up at close to 9 billion than in other years. So everything is kind of topsy-turvy. We're living in that parallel universe where up is down and down is up. But that makes it very intriguing heading into 2024.
Paul, are theatre to streaming windows getting different? I mean, is there any rhyme or reason to them? So, for example, I just went to see Napoleon, and I feel like it's coming out in a couple of weeks on streaming, but that feels like a shorter window than some other movies that I've been waiting on.
Definitely, Vonnie. I mean, it's one of those things where that was a bridge too far pre-pandemic. The 90-day window was kind of set in stone. 75 to 90 days, meaning the time between when a film is in a theater and then available on streaming. I think that shortening of the windows works. Dynamic windowing works. Keeping a movie in theaters that doesn't necessarily perform isn't good for theaters or the audience. You get those onto streaming, that's great. But there is that whole idea that if people know they have to wait a pretty long time, they may run out to the theater so that they can see that movie on the big screen. So streaming has an impact. I think more of the impact of streaming is that people are seeing so many different types of genres, international cinema, documentaries, films that really push the envelope, and they're wanting to see that in their big screen movies. So that's why I think there may, again, I may be overstating, but I feel like it's like we're back in the 70s where audiences are looking for the kind of Raging Bulls and Easy Riders that were the movies that really changed cinema. Maybe we're at an inflection point in terms of that.
Yeah, how is it changing the economics? I think I speak for Vonnie and myself when I say that I wait and rather pay 20 bucks at home than go to the box office most days. Don't enjoy the popcorn. How does that change the way that people are thinking about putting out films when so many consumers are Shonali and Vonnieing it?
Well, that's a good way to put it. I think that if you go see a movie right now, if you go see Ferrari, by the way, today in a theater, you're going to be blown away by that experience. And then you're going to think, I want to do that in the future. I want to go to the movie theater, because even though staying at home is great, and I do that all the time, everybody streams films, there is something very singular about the movie-going experience. And if you think about the Barbenheimer phenomenon, that would not have happened had everyone stayed home and had those films been available at home from the get-go. So I think that just shows you, if you look at what's happening, and remember, Barbie and Oppenheimer, two very unique summer movies. These were not cookie cutter films. They're big blockbusters with great directors, huge casts, but they had a point of view that was different, that really played well with the audiences, rather than stamping out the same old thing time and again. And streaming, again, I think more importantly, opens the minds of moviegoers to all this different type of content, seeing films and TV shows that really push the envelope. Maybe we'll get back to more of that at the big, on the big screen at the movies in the years to come. There may be a cultural shift there.